and anybody that has ever heard me talk about the Board Uplander Club, one of the first things I tell them about gameplay when they ask, well, give me some strategies. Culture over collections. In the end, with thousands of properties available in cities, it's the culture of the city itself that will help you sell.
Welcome back to another Upland Player podcast, everybody. I am here with Eddie, the Metaversr.
What's going on, people?
Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Good, X1. I appreciate this. Good to see you again.
Yeah, we were just talking before the show, actually, and I'm excited to talk to everybody, but I'm really excited to talk to you because I think you represent a player type, a player profile, if you will, that we've not talked to, and you're super unique in what you've done. It's very inspiring what you've done. I think if you remember the first time we met in Los Angeles at the meetup in person, you were showing us all this stuff, and it's mind blowing what you're doing. So, so I'm excited to introduce you to players who may not know what you're doing. So let's start there. Metaversr, who are you? How did you get started with Upland, and what's your story?
Thank you. Well, my name is Eddie Roque. I'm an artist here in Los Angeles, San Pedro to be exact. I got into Upland through my daughters, actually. They're big Robloxers. And I wanted to figure out, like all good parents, what they were doing with my money when they were asking to buy bucks. But I went ahead and got into understanding the economics, where these kids had set up a full-blown economy of creating stuff, selling it, consuming it. So blew my mind that you can get college level theories down to 12 and under. And then I came onto Upland, also read the white paper, geeked out with Dirk at the LA meetup about the economy, and I was hooked. From then on, I was lucky that I had the end of Bronx, Berkeley expansion, and to set me up for LA, where my hometown, and all Uplanders dream about buying their home in the Upland metaverse. So I'm lucky enough I got to do it. And San Pedro, my hometown, is actually one of the Board Uplander Club communities, which is a good segue. I'm a founder of the Board Uplander Club. And it's a group of creators, entrepreneurs that have come together to advance the bridging of the metaverse from the real to the digital as we like to call it. I have a tier of paid members who act as my think tank, people I can really trust to turn to about not only churning my ideas in that accelerator, but other people's ideas, their own ideas. And then we have the greater community that we're about 800 strong. Very
cool. So bridging the real world with Upland, you guys are doing that, you're doing that, and you're doing it with the Board Uplander Club. Let's talk about that for a minute. How have you done that? Do you have examples of what that looks like?
I do. So bridging the real world, when I got into understanding the possibilities, the potential of Upland, I saw it as a Web3 e-commerce space. So not only are creators, which I think are going to be the cream of the crop when it comes to the first few decades of the metaverse, not only are creators able to have a very high-end avenue to sell their goods, which are the graphics, the 3D modeling, even original art that people can use for their own NFT projects, but real brands also. So, for example, behind me, we have Smart Owl Coffee, which fits in with the gamer profile of what kind of liquids they like to consume. They carry a sampler pack, which is behind me, of 5 different flavors. There's a mental boost, which is infused with lion's mane and mushrooms, which is, has been very popular recently to help motivate or stimulate, brain function. There's one for gut health. There's one for mood correction when you want to take a chill pill but still have that coffee flavor. And so that they're one. We are opening up Block Explorer shops using in-game assets, the mugs especially, to sell a Buck Box, which is the 5 flavor sampler plus a Buck t-shirt and a replica mug of the NFT or Block Explorer that you're buying.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it is. And this way people can have a physical attachment to their digital product, or vice versa. If they're really into, digital goods and are crypto heroes, then, they can get a physical attachment, or excuse me, a digital attachment with physical stuff.
Yeah.
The other one is, and this is probably most daunting as we roll up, reaching out, working with dispensaries to be able to, and even restaurants that have very little e-commerce possibility, to see how we can expand that into the Web3.
So off the coffee brand there, how did you, this is a business that was just in the real world. You approached them and you were able to bring them into Upland. How did you go about approaching them?
One of our founders, the paid members, they brought them in because they were already sales representatives for them. And Smart Owl Coffee is mostly an online brand. So they already have a, let's say, foot in the door and understanding of how e-commerce works. So then from there, it was just the slow process of getting them to understand what NFTs are, how NFTs can work in this space, and also the ability of the community at large, the Upland community, to be the catalyst consumer base that then goes off and talks to, friends, family about the brand, other influencers within the space. They have tested the coffee out and, are welcome to talk about it. So this way, just like they understand how word of mouth and online marketing works, this is just another avenue of that, which is obviously using the buzzword of metaverse, which is partly a small hurdle that most brick and mortar and online retailers are having to get through. But after that, it's a quick process of allowing us in the Board Uplander Club to help manage and maintain their accounts.
Oh, excellent. So if someone who's watching this for the first time and has never thought, oh, I could go across the street to my local business here, introduce them to Upland, what advice would you have for them?
Okay, that's a great question. So we first have them talk and get an understanding of what that business owner's online commerce or e-commerce needs are. If they have one that's robust, then there is a easier learning curve to explain how you can tap into this smaller but growing space. And the earlier adopters tend to be those that have the larger brand recognition once the platform or the space blows up. And then once that is understood and there's that open line of communication, then it's the fun part of explaining the in-game functions, which we like to focus on showing how this is a form of customer retention, right? If somebody goes to buy Smart Owl Coffee or a tree farm, box from Reroll Up, they're more likely to stay there and play the racing games, or maybe they discover Upland Kingdoms, all this layer 2 stuff that is rolling out. And then, as we gamers understand, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours can pass by. You're still within the platform, and you're like, well, you know what? I bought the Smart Owl. Let me go get a Reroll Up box too. So this way, the customer never leaves the mall, and is allowed to experience the mall, enjoy the mall. But as businesses love to hear is they stay within the mall and are allowed to then explore other shops, whether it's something like this with the Phygital or just straight up, asset flipping that most meta ventures are based around.
Very cool. And so let's talk about your success with this.
Sure.
Two questions for you here. How successful have you been with this model, and how do you define success for yourself?
Okay. So the success for myself is just having the communication, just having the open dialogue, that line where they can email me back whether or not they get something, or if they want to advance on something that we've talked about. And so one in a burgeoning sector of tech has to understand that there's a patience curve that one has to have. So, the businesses, they exist, they have their revenue streams already. We're just, siphoning off this little bit of their product or service to be able to then funnel into the Upland community and at large, people that are learning about Web3 and coming into Upland, which is not necessarily what the typical Uplander profile now would be, who've been playing for a few months, understand the tokenomics and all that stuff. So it bridges the gamer with the citizen, I guess, the regular person on the street, because they can then understand that, it doesn't all have to stay in my computer or on my NFT reader. I can have it right next to me. Like,
there it is. Yeah.
This is the one of the first things that I brought to LA for our meetup was, people like to see this on their counter, on their trophy cases.
Yeah, that's the LA. For those of you that don't recognize it, maybe you're newer, that's the LA Thrifty Trader Block Explorer.
Yes, it is. And there's a company that exists that we see in malls, which is funny that I talk about malls in the space of what Upland is, or could be, because, they may be able to buy that on their own and get it on their own with their cash. But this is something that from the community I like hearing is they also have a thirst to spend their UPIX, on this real stuff. So, we have a program called Buck Chow, which is our most successful. If I'm going to grade something as very successful, where we've sold close to 1.5 million UPIX worth of food from real restaurants, where people will, DM me on our Discord server. There's a form there that they fill out of what restaurant, what they want to eat in an order off the menu, and then the transaction exchange of what that would cost in UPIX purchasing an Upland asset.
Wow. That's crazy cool. 1.5 million UPIX.
Yes.
That's well done.
Yes.
Well
thank
done.
you.
So, No, go ahead.
I was going to say, on the back of that, the onboarding for the business. So I was able to make that with my own idea for the businesses out there. It's about a $1,000 to $1,200 onboarding fee. This gets them set up with their properties. We like to offer them 3 plus their assets, and because they cross the threshold for director, we can immediately then say Upland, the company, will go ahead and make your custom Block Explorer, which is your logo or your brand, mascot, to roam the world in Upland and be seen by thousands of players.
One thing too that really stood out to me the first time we met, and since then, you were even at Genesis Week and had a booth there at this last Genesis Week.
Yeah.
So clearly you're in this entrepreneurship world where you're, like you said, bridging real world with the digital world. One thing that you're very passionate about too is you're very much into art and the art aspect. Yes. And so I view you as this art fused with entrepreneurship. Will you tell us a little bit about your art and how that's played out in Upland?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually a working artist. That's my trade in the real world. And when I saw what my daughters are doing on their platform, I saw that it was content creator heavy. So, 3D modelers, which took ideas from designers and artists to make the clothing and the housing that they consume. That kind of clicked the light in my head to say, wow, well, I'm already transitioning some of my original work into NFTs as a certificate of authenticity through the smart contract process. This is something that can really, really benefit content creators or just creators in general for a long time. Because while the techies are working on the platform, programming it, building that side, my understanding of what the metaverse, whether it be virtual reality or augmented reality, is it's going to be very aesthetic heavy. And that means people like myself, artists, muralists, this is one of my works behind me, they will all have an opportunity for a long time, a few decades at least, to be the drivers of a lot of the metaverse economy. Between your block explorer designers, now your landing page designers, all these people that have training in aesthetics and the visual arts, I think are going to have a really nice heyday, if not a golden age, of what is possible with our creations. One of the things I also showed at the LA meetup when we first met was I had these little postcards that using a certain app would augment the reality on it. So it was my art. I learned how to, apply the video portion of it to within this augmented reality app, and voila, I was able to then merge the two. You have my art, and if you want to kick it up a notch, we can augment it with this technology.
It was super cool. That was what blew my. It was like, wow, look at what you're doing. Oh man, well done. That's
yeah. So I'm kind of doing it a little bit backwards than most artists. Most of my life work experiences in the business world. My mom is a serial entrepreneur, and it's her guidance, the voice in my head of her, that made me really understand how the market works here when it comes to Web3, unlike Web2, because it's heavily community based. And for all my life, I've been hearing my mom talk about her clientele and how she has to take care of her clientele, which is just the business talk for community. She knows that she's a community member, a pillar of her community, because she's hiring people for jobs and giving them a product or a service that they need. So it takes a smart, very savvy business person to tap into that and then grow from there. Because if your community's got your back, then you're going to have a level of success that keeps you in business for a long time. That's where we get all our favorite little dive bars or corner eats that've been there for years, and grandma still works there. Because they tapped into the community, and the love for their community shows with the community consuming their stuff at a rate that keeps them in business.
Yeah, agreed. It also creates when you think about those dive bars or like mom and pop shops, there's a culture there as well. And that culture is created because of the community that comes there.
Correct. And anybody that has ever heard me talk about the Board Uplander Club, one of the first things I tell them about gameplay when they ask, well, give me some strategies, culture over collections. It's beautiful that you guys add the collection aspect of it, trying to tap into what the culture of a city may be, cultural centers and stuff like that. But in the end, with thousands of properties available in cities, it's the culture of the city itself that will help you sell, because not everybody can get a collection property. But people that are coming in, that are starting, they're going to look for what is culturally relevant to them, whether it's in their hometown or places they visited, or just looking at, travel guides, that talks about the cultures of these cities. So sometimes, or most of the time, most of the properties will not be in these collections, but they'll have this cultural relevance that allows them, with other property flippers, people that tap into what we're doing and want to bring in that business, or just novices that like the bragging rights to say that they own their local dive bar.
Yeah. So do you have an example of culture over collections?
This past 2 weeks, but really a month, when I finally came back and went gangbusters on playing the game, I was able to sell 1.5 million of properties. 29 of them total. Of the 29, maybe six were in collections. But I had curated my portfolio of properties to follow my philosophy of culture over collections, and everything was culturally relevant, which sold fast at a profit, at a decent markup, and allowed me to continue my in-game play with advancing cultural collecting as the baseline philosophy where we're at, in the Board Uplander Club and with my portfolio.
So let's take us just as an example. Let's take Tokyo. It's our most recent city release.
Yes.
How did you approach, or how would you approach the release of Tokyo when looking at culture over collections?
Yeah. I had a small understanding of the culture because my sister loves to travel to Tokyo. She's been there a number of times. So within that conversations with her, I got to understand it. And so when I was prepping the buckers in our server about places to go, I was putting down addresses. A few of them were shrines. There were some shopping centers. I don't want to butcher it, but Jingume was one of my collection predictions because of the high-end shopping center. It's trendy. It's got one of the largest collections of Michelin starred rated restaurants there. So all of that stuff I knew was going to be culturally relevant. Japanese people, especially in Tokyo, love good food, and they love good aesthetics. I was sitting on one property that became an ultra rare. It's the Hachiko Square, which for me, culturally within my family, is hugely relevant because it's dedicated to a dog that waited for its owner at the train station to come back and died there. And the people there, the community, memorialized them with a statue and named the whole square after them, and it's right at the Shibuya crossing area. So I was sitting on it. It got taken by a homie, Danny Daniel, but I knew that I got to jump on the next cultural relevant thing. And I knew shrines and temples are huge there, so I went for the biggest one in the area, Togo Shrine, and culturally relevant. It's part of the tour for the Neon Jungle.
There we go.
It's unmarked. It's not in a collection, but Upland doing its research, doing its homework. When you do these tours, it's about exposing everybody to the culture that may have just kind of been willy-nilly buying to the culture of the city. Yeah,
C over C, culture over collections. I like that. That's. Let's talk. Can we just talk a little bit more about your art?
Sure.
You have examples of bringing it actually into Upland, and what's that been like?
Not yet. Okay. So I'm still building my factory, but I do have a number of workings already set up on my computer. So, for example, I learned how to beautifully, done with the FIFA Legits, put my original artwork images into those encased
those
frames.
Those are. I remember you saying how much you loved the posters. Yeah.
I made one.
That's right.
I made a physical one that looks like it kind of has a reflective. It's an acrylic print.
That's cool.
Like a legit.
That is so cool.
And again, this is one of the things you can buy, at our Buck FC stores in San Pedro and beyond.
Wow, that's
so
cool.
you buy the legit in the store, and you get one of those delivered to you.
I love it. So where are you at with Upland right now as far as your perception of it? Are you super high, super low, more excited than ever? Has it waned a little bit? Where are you at there?
No, I've always been high on Upland. Like I said, I was hooked at the white paper, charmed by Dirk to understand the economy better. And what I tell everybody that I talk to about the economy and about the possibilities is this is a long game. Yes, you can have fun and do your property or asset flipping. But if you really want to have something that in 7 years, you can say, wow, I was first at that. Then you have to go into the platform with that mentality. Like, again, if culture over collections is the thing, then you're going to be buying stuff that that you have an attachment to. You're gonna have a hard time to let go of it unless it's at a decent markup. So that then allows me to be patient, love my portfolio, love being able to, pick up stuff that I could then use later to as like trimming the fat, so I could have some stake later on with the funds that I raise, selling it off. But in the end, the fact that I'm getting a lot more feedback from actual mom and pop shops, the brick and mortars, the real world brands, about the constant hearing of what the metaverse, the Web3, what NFTs are doing to people's businesses and other economies when they do them right, and the potential of it. That's what gets me even more hyped on what Upland is doing, because, like I mentioned earlier, Upland is like a very beautiful mall. You guys are doing a great job building it up. And I can then tell people, open up a store here and you'll have customer attention and so on and so forth. And I see the wheels start to spin in these entrepreneurs' eyes.
Yeah.
All of that, gets to me in that sense, and allows me to really enjoy Upland for what it is now, and what it's potentially leading up to be and become. I'm pretty high up on Upland.
Yeah. Where do you think, speaking of what it will become, where do you think Upland will be in 7 years? What's your Upland in 7 years? What's it look like to you?
Okay, this is it. Ready? You can walk down any street in America, have a buck generated, Board Up Atlanta Club generated QR code on that building. You scan it, and it either opens up an Upland account for you, like a wallet, or it takes you to your account and to that location, and you can actually order food, clothing, a service from that location in Upland, pay in UpX, and you get to take home a really nice Block Explorer, either made by Upland or by the Board Uplander Club's many founders and creators.
I love it. And we're wrapping up here. Two questions. The second question, I'll give you the last word. Where people can find you and stuff. But before that, what is your number one piece of advice for anyone looking to have success in Upland?
Number one piece of advice is definitely be patient, and stick to your guns about your philosophy. It can be very tempting to just buy everything because you see people flipping it and having success with it at the moment. But like, if you don't know what stock car racing is about, or any of the other things that Upland is introducing brand wise, then you're going to be spinning your wheels, and that creates anxiety, and then the anxiety creates FUD, and we want none of that. We try to keep Board Uplander Club server positive in that sense that, yeah, you may have your gripes, but look, the long run is this, and I'm working on it. People see me every day trying to accomplish my goals. We have many other founders doing the same thing, and so those that bought into the Board Uplander Club as a founder are people that I like to think are natural born leaders in that sense, whether they do it vocally like I do, or by their actions, which is again staying patient, staying the course, and playing your game, then you'll be happy. You'll be happy with what you get with Upland and what Upland does for you.
Eddie, well, thank you. This has been fantastic. Thank you for coming on and being a part of this.
Thank you very much.
Where can players find you? Where can they look out for you? Where can they follow you?
I'm on all the social medias. So Instagram, Board Uplander Club, X, Board Uplander Club also, but Uplander spelled with just a D and an R at the end, and club is CLB. So you'll find us. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Our website is www.boarduplander.club. And you can check out my art at eddieroquestudio.art.
Very cool. And we'll have links, everyone, to all of that in the description below. So make sure you go hit on it, click on it, give Eddie a follow here, and be inspired. I think the one thing, if I were to describe you in one word, it honestly would be inspired. Like that's every time I talk to you, every time I see you, you're just very inspiring. You have that entrepreneurship spirit that is inspiring.
Well, it's a beautiful cycle of love because I get inspired by Upland. All the new rollouts, the Block Explorer designs, all these little things, and all the way up to what you allow content creators to create on the platform. That feeds me.
Awesome. He's Eddie TheMetaversr, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you like this. Also, let us know in the comments what you thought of this interview and who we should talk to next. Let us know, and we'll see you next time.